What if you could create your own sustainable food supply for your reptiles and insect-eating pets right at home? Today we're starting our first experiment, building a simple mealworm farm to see if we can produce our own feeder insects. Welcome to the Arboreals and More YouTube channel, where we share our journey keeping reptiles, invertebrates, and other exotic pets while trying to do things in a more sustainable and ethical way. In this video, we're starting a brand new experiment, our first attempt at breeding mealworms at home. The goal is to create a more sustainable food source for our reptiles and our hedgehog instead of constantly buying feeder insects. Mealworms are a really common feeder insect, but instead of buying them over and over again, we wanted to see if we could build a simple system that allows them to reproduce and sustain themselves over time. This video is actually a compilation of clips filmed over several months while we learn how to set up and manage a mealworm colony. So you'll probably notice the setup and filming improving as we go. The first step in building a mealworm colony is prepping the container. Here we're using a simple plastic storage bin. To make it suitable for insects, we need to add proper ventilation. Mealworms and the beetles they turn into need airflow to stay healthy, and without ventilation, the enclosure can trap moisture. Too much moisture can cause mold, bacteria, and die-offs in the colony, which is something we definitely want to avoid. These holes allow fresh air to circulate through the enclosure while still keeping the insects safely inside. The mesh prevents beetles or other insects from escaping while still allowing plenty of airflow. Throughout this video, you'll see just how this experiment evolves over the next several months. This is how you create an almost endless food supply for your reptile. This stays indoors and fits in any closet or corner. For housing, I'm actually cleaning out this 3-tier bin that I used for a previous mealworm colony. If you own reptiles, especially bearded dragons, leopard geckos, or other insectivores, raising your own mealworms saves money and gives you full control over feeder quality. All you need is a ventilated bin, wheat bran or oats for substrate, and proper airflow. Add fresh vegetables for moisture, keep it dry and clean, and let the life cycle work. Mealworms turn into darkling beetles, beetles lay eggs, and eggs hatch into more mealworms. The cycle repeats. And I started this colony off with 500 mealworms. And that's how you build a continuous feeder insect colony. Now you can stop depending on the pet store for everything. If this was helpful, be sure to follow us for more real reptile care tips. Do's and don'ts of making a mealworm farm. Do get a large recycle multi-compartment bin. As long as it has at least 2 separate compartments, you should be good. Don't go buy a bin like I did, and do get a bin bigger than this one because your mealworms are going to need the space. Don't be like me and do this in your house. Do this in a well-ventilated space so you're not inhaling the fumes of burnt plastic. Do use a set of electrical shears to cut your string. Trust me, it will make the process faster and your life a lot easier. Do use hot glue instead of zip ties because it's more secure against escape artists and it looks a lot neater. So far, we've selected an appropriate size bin that we already have, or we find one that is used. We don't go out and buy a bin. Repeat after me. We do not go out and buy a bin. Next, we cut a box-shaped hole in one of the compartments in order to make room for the mesh floor we made. We then hot glued our mesh floor to the compartment with the hole. This level will provide ventilation and an easy way for the mealworms to lay their eggs. Then we added oats as a food and bedding source, but other people use wheat bran because it's easier for the mealworms to digest. Then let's add some toilet paper rolls. Toilet paper rolls in a mealworm farm provide extra surface area, hiding spots, and it make collecting mealworms a lot easier. Toilet paper roll can also serve as a minor carbon source for the mealworms, but the real nutrition still comes from grains and vegetables. We added carrots for moisture because mealworms do need water to survive. Carrots, along with other vegetables and fruits, provide this hydration. Do sift out the frass before putting the mealworms in, and don't put them outside because they won't survive. I know it sounds crazy, but trust me, they won't make it outside. And that is how you save money by setting up a mealworm farm. You want to put them in here because this is lined with mesh or chicken wire at the bottom, and when they breed, and once they turn into beetles, of course, and they breed, their eggs will fall through that mesh, and then the little tiny baby worms will grow in here. You don't want to keep them together because the beetles could actually cannibalize the worms. So we don't want to do that. We want to make sure everyone is separate but equal. And it makes it easily to assess the feeder bugs when it's time, and just so we don't have to separate things by hand. Today I'm separating my mealworm colony after finishing a growth experiment. I wanted to test how quickly I could scale the colony under consistent conditions. Now that the experiment's over, it's time to sort everything out. I'll be sharing the full results and breakdown over on YouTube. I use a strainer to sift the substrate from the worms. It makes the whole process way faster and a lot less messy. And of course, I always use oats for my bedding. I use whole potatoes for easy transportation of the beetles. Just place it in the old bedding and they'll climb right on. Throughout this process, I only found one casualty, which really surprised me because I typically would have more die-off in a mealworm setup. I mean, I wouldn't have crazy die-offs, but I would have like a few here and there. But this time I only found one dead beetle. The last thing we did was cut holes in the lid for ventilation. And there you go, I made another mealworm bin. Hey everyone, our last mealworm farm video blew up, so we're back with a brand new, super simple guide for beginners. This time we're using the mono bin method. This method is perfect for anyone who wants to keep things easy and all in one place. First up, we have our base, rolled oats. This is their food, their bedding, and their home all in one. It's cheap, easy to find, and provides all the carbs they need. Next, I'm adding a perforated plate. This is a great tip for keeping things clean. It creates an elevated spot for the food, which helps with airflow and prevents mold from growing on the food as it decomposes. Now for the veggies. I'm using a few slices of carrot. This is their source of water and vitamins. You can also use things like potatoes or apple slices. Just remember to replace it every few days to prevent mold. I also like to add a toilet paper roll. This is a great hiding spot for the beetles and a place for them to hang out. It's a simple way to give them some enrichment and mimics a log or branch they might hide under in nature. Last but not least, some cat grass. This is a super handy addition because it gives the beetles something to climb on. It also helps with the humidity in the bin, which is great for the pupae. I'll give the bin a little mist to keep the humidity up. This is a crucial step for the pupae as it helps them shed their skin. The lid on this container is really special. I can crack it open, which lets the bin air out. This prevents things from getting too damp and helps prevent mold from forming, which can be a real issue. So there you have it, simple, effective mealworm form. The mono bin method is perfect for beginners because it's so low maintenance. The main pro is how easy it is to manage. One con is that you might lose a few pupae to the beetles since they're not separated. That's why I recommend the 3-compartment method that we did in the video that's pinned on our page. Check it out if you're ready for a challenge. So typically I like to buy all the things for my reptiles secondhand, especially for my bugs, but I couldn't find one of these 3-compartment totes on Facebook or at the thrift store. So for the first time I decided to buy one online, and I bought the wrong size because I don't think I could fit a mealworm population in here. Maybe a super tiny one. I just don't think it's viable, but I'm making this post to ask you guys, do you think this is big enough to house like a small population of mealworms? Because my colony is overgrown right now and we are in a state of emergency. They need to be changed out like ASAP. On the brighter end, I got 2 10 gallons, both with lids, on Facebook for $15.